right, WTEW Bible Studies. We're going to explain on this Revelation timeline. We're going to do the blue area. So we're going to get a little bit more detailed, but not fully in depth like we're going to do when we go through the whole book. So this is just to keep you interested so far. If you've never heard this stuff, it's good to go through things more than one time because nobody knows what's going on. This is a different point of view than you've heard. Doesn't matter if you've studied Revelation your whole life or if this is your first time. It's going to be different than what anybody else is teaching. So we'll start at 32 AD. That is when Jesus died, and he left his Holy Spirit here for us. And so during this time, we have conquerors, we have wars, we have famine, we have pestilence, we have martyrs. We have other dates that come up. We have, these are the first 5 seals, by the way, the book of Revelation. So you hear the 4 horses of the apocalypse. First one is a conqueror. How do I know it's a conqueror? Because that's what it says. If you compare Matthew chapter 24 with this story, you go right down the line. The red horse is war, the black horse is famine, the pale horse is pestilence. It's all givens. So you have signs, icons, white, red, black, pale. We're told what they are in the book of Matthew. If you compare them, that matches up real easy. And the 5th seal tells you it's martyrs. So we don't have to guess. So that's a good thing. During this time, death is limited to a quarter of the earth. What does that mean? It means that these conquerors, they can't take over the whole world. They can only take over a quarter of it. So during the time of Rome, they had the power to take over the whole world. They had the authority to kill anybody they want, just like Israel had the authority to go in and take the promised land, all the way from the Nile River to the Euphrates River. Did they ever do it? No, they did not, but they did have the authority because that's what God says. So the conqueror goes out, he makes war because he wants to take over the world. The result of war is famine, pestilence. And who's going to stop the war? Christians willing to give their lives. Right now, what have we got? We've got Russia at war. They would like to take over the world. So they're an example of this conqueror going on present day. They're making war with Ukraine, all the wheat. Ukraine's breadbasket of the world. They're not getting that wheat out to places like Africa and wherever else they shipped it. It's going to cause famine. People are hungry, they're cold, it's going to get diseased. Pestilence is going to break out all over. So war, famine causes pestilence. Who's stopping Russia from defeating Ukraine? Well, the U.S. and NATO sent a lot of weaponry, but not a lot of troops. Normally, the Christian nations have sent boots on the ground, is the term for this day and age. And America's, quite frankly, sick of wars, foreign wars. We're not doing them. So does that mean that this cycle is going to end and we're going to have the next part? Don't know. But it's not only Russia. North Korea would like to take over the world. China would like to take over the world. So they're threatening Taiwan. They're causing famine amongst their own people because they've got COVID and they're shutting them in. No martyrs stopping them. Will that lead to this? There's just no telling. But this has been going on since the 1st century. So we had people in the past like Hitler wanted to take over the world. Hitler causes a war caused famine and disease. A lot of people died in World War II. But we had Americans, we had Europeans, we had Christians standing up against the Axis power, the evil. We knew what evil was then. We were willing to send boots on the ground to make it stop. That is what happened. So now we've got other dates that are important. 1939, World War II. So if we look down, well, first of all, I guess in story 2, we have Revelation 7:1. The wind is kept from blowing in the final empire. Now, what am I talking about there? Let's just read that. Revelation 7:1. After these things, I saw 4 angels standing on the 4 corners of the earth, holding the 4 winds of the earth, that the wind should not blow on the earth, nor on the sea, nor on any tree. What does that mean? I don't know. Let's look at Daniel 7:2. See what that says. Daniel spake and said, I saw my vision by night, and behold, the 4 winds of heaven strove upon the great sea, and 4 great beasts came up from the sea, different from one another. So these 4 winds, when they blow in world empires. So we've had 4 of them. We've had the Babylonian Empire, we've had the Medes and the Persians, we've had the Greeks, and we had the Roman Empire. So these winds aren't going to blow. It's kept from blowing. So this next empire, this next revived Roman Empire, can't start until 144,000 Jews become Christians. So 1948, we had Israel is reborn, and there were exactly 3 Christians in the whole state of Israel at that time. The Jews there thought Christians were actually worse than Hitler. Hitler was just trying to kill their bodies. They thought Christians were trying to kill their souls. So now they look at it. Some of the leading Jews think that everybody knows somebody that has become infected with Christianity. There's 30,000 of them now. So from 3 to 30,000. We got some exponential growth during COVID. Christian videos were going out like they've in the millions. And there's not hardly millions of people. There's just a few million Jews in Israel. So for them to download that many videos, watch that many videos, this can't be that far away. Today, this is happening. So we don't have that final empire yet, but we've come from 3 to 30,000. Now these are young Christian virgins, young male Christian virgins. So you're going to have more than 30,000 in general population to hit that 144,000. We come down. Story 3. Let's start with this one because this is the most clear one. Irvin Baxter, if you've ever heard of him, he's the one where I learned this from. So let's read Revelation 8, 10 to 11. And the third angel sounded, and there fell a great star from heaven, burning as it were a lamp. It fell upon the third part of the rivers and upon the fountains of waters. And the name of the star is called Wormwood. And the third part of the waters became wormwood, and many men died of the waters because they were made bitter. So just so happens, wormwood, the translation in Ukraine, is Chernobyl. Now, if you're only going to have these trumpets, so these repeat, and we know that's going to happen until we get a new Roman Empire that's going to be able to conquer. Death is no longer going to be limited to one quarter. They're going to be able to take over the whole earth. But down here, we don't really have anything to relate to. We don't know if this is the exact interpretation or not because we have nothing to compare it to. It's a one-time event. We're given a sign. We're not told what that sign means. So for wormwood to actually be Chernobyl, so if you're over in Ukraine, you're looking in your Bible, instead of reading the word, the name of the star is called Chernobyl, is what it says in the Ukrainian Bible. You have a thing in 1982 where the whole world knows about it. That's a trumpet to me. That seems like a pretty good clue. So we get the trumpet blowing, trumpet 3, and Chernobyl seems to be a good fit. And then let's read 8:12. The fourth angel sounded, and a third part of the sun was smitten, and a third part of the moon, and a third part of the stars. So as the third part of them was darkened, and the day shone not for a third part of it, and the night likewise. So when that blew up, there was a radioactive cloud that blocked out the sun, moon, and stars around there. Now the waters were made bitter from that, and it seemed like a really good fit for that. So from that, well, maybe we can guess as to what these earlier ones were. I'm going to read Revelation 8:7. The first angel sounded, and there followed hail and fire mingled with blood, and they were cast upon the earth. And the third part of the trees was burned up, and all green grass was burned up. So how do I get World War II out of that? Well, I heard of a hail of bullets mingled with blood, third part of the trees burned up. I don't know, it just sounds like it's a world war. All the green grass burned up. So this seems like a world type thing. Now, if we look at what happens in the next one, if we keep reading on the second angel sounded. This is Revelation 8:8. The second angel sounded, and as it were a great mountain burning with fire was cast into the sea. And the third part of the sea became blood. Oh, and the third part of the creatures that were in the sea that had life died. The third part of the ships were destroyed. Again, from Irvin Baxter, whatever the total number of ships were in World War II, a third of them were sunk. So when you say the sea became blood, well, it could be that a third of the people on the ships at war in a boat at that time died in the sea. So let's see. The great mountain. A lot of times mountains are symbolic for kingdoms. So the German, whatever you want to call it, they called themselves the Third Reich. So that was where they were defeated and cast into the sea. So the nations are blown out of the sea. We look at Daniel. The nations come out of the sea. When they're defeated, they go back into the Sea of Nations, or the peoples of the world. They're no longer a dominant force. And that's what happened there. So we see kind of through here, through today, it looks like before the trumpets have gone. It looks like Jews are becoming Christians. Let's see what story 4 has to say. So story 4, if you look at it, you see spiritual things that seem to coincide with the physical things that happen on earth. So if you read through the book of Daniel, there's the prince of this and the prince of that. There's always a spiritual force that seems to have a geographic area that's in charge of things. So here, if we look at World War II, there's a war in heaven. So Satan and his angels are fighting against Michael and his angels. So at the same time, there's war in heaven, there's war on earth. Satan and his angels are defeated in heaven. That coincides with the defeat of Nazi Germany. Satan's cast to earth, that's pictured by the Chernobyl explosion. Satan's angels cast to earth, that's pictured through the radioactive cloud. So again, martyrdom continues. 1211, martyrdom continues. Martyrdom will continue through the whole thing. So there may not be enough if there's not a nation of martyrs willing to stand up. There are people that will fight and they will be killed for the sake of Christ and trying to stop evil. But when there's a new empire, that's when we draw the line. So here we come to the second portion, and that will be the next video.